Welcome to the Tides of Time podcast, where each month we'll embark on a journey through time. Join me as we dive deep into the pivotal moments and influential figures that have shaped the history of our Navy. I'm MC2 Carson, and today we will be exploring the service of the USS Tang, a pivotal submarine in the Pacific during World War II. Her service demonstrated the values of the Navy in the highest sense. This retelling of the service of USS Tang is based on historical events and accounts, but it has been dramatized for storytelling purposes. While efforts have been made to maintain accuracy, certain liberties may have been taken with timelines to enhance narrative flow. This retelling may contain sounds and words that depict violence, warfare, and loss. Listener discretion is advised. Deep in enemy waters, lurking beneath the surface, there's an American submarine. This can often mean certain death for ships on the open water, and for the duration of its service, USS Tang wreaked havoc on Imperial Japanese shipping. USS Tang, SS-306, was commissioned on October 15, 1943, at Mare Island Navy Yard in California. The submarine was delivered to the Navy on November 30th, with Lieutenant Commander Richard H. O'Kane taking command. O'Kane had served prior on USS Wahoo as an executive officer and approach officer under noted Commander Dudley Mush Morton. February 17, 1944, while patrolling the depths of the Philippine Sea, Tang spots a Japanese convoy. Lurking under the water, O'Kane and the crew begin plotting a course of intercept. While preparing the attack, an enemy escort suddenly appears about 6,400 meters away. The crew reacts quickly and gets the sub to dive deeper while avoiding 5 enemy depth charges before the escort finally departs. This quick escape emboldens the crew. They return to periscope depth and resume their attack. Closing in on their closest target, the Japanese transport vessel Gyoten Maru, Tang fires a spread of 4 torpedoes. 3 of them score hits, rocking the water with violent explosions. The metal hull rips apart, sinking into the ocean. 5 days later, Tang silently tracks another target, the cargo ship Fukuyama Maru. Heavy rain squalls rendered the radar almost useless, forcing the crew to rely on their skill and instincts. For 30 tense minutes, the Tang closes in, finally reaching a firing position just 1,400 meters away. O'Kane authorizes the crew to fire a volley of torpedoes, slicing through the water with deadly precision. The Fukuyama Maru is struck by 4 consecutive hits from bow to stern, erupting into a catastrophic explosion that leaves the vessel obliterated. With her target sunk, Tang vanishes into the night, a phantom in the darkness. Over the next 4 days, Tang goes on to sink 7 more ships, using all 24 of her torpedoes. With this string of victories, she would return to Midway. On March 16, 1944, Tang departs on her second patrol. This takes her to the waters around the Palau Islands, the Davao Gulf, and the Truk Atoll. While performing lifeguard duties around Truk, Tang rescues 22 downed airmen. On her third patrol, Tang and crew are assigned to the East China Sea, quickly sinking 2 enemy ships. Days later, she destroys the cargo ship Nikan Maru with a single torpedo after evading depth charges. July 1st through the 4th, the crew sinks several vessels under the command of O'Kane, before returning to Midway to refuel and resupply. Unbeknownst to the crew, Tang's 5th war patrol would be its last. On September 27, 1944, Tang sails for the Formosa Strait. The waters around the strait are patrolled by the Japanese. After successfully navigating through the heavily defended waters, Tang sinks 2 cargo ships. The next 2 weeks are quiet for the crew. They passed the time by playing cribbage and telling stories on the mess decks until October 23rd, when she finally encounters a large convoy. Under the leadership of O'Kane, the crew prepare for a night attack. As darkness falls, Tang moves in. Operating quickly, she breaks into the middle of the enemy formation. She fires 2 torpedoes at an oncoming vessel, scoring direct hits. Swiftly, she then fires 2 more at a ship nearby, but this time the torpedoes explode underneath the vessel. The torpedoes, however, leave both targets burning and sinking. While she prepares to fire on a tanker in the convoy, she sights a transport ship attempting to ram her. However, she lacks room to dive. Reacting quickly, she crosses the transport's bow to narrowly avoid it. This forces the vessel to swing. Unable to correct course, the 2 Japanese ships end up ramming each other. Tang then fires a barrage of torpedoes, sinking both. With more enemy ships approaching and a destroyer closing in on her, Tang quickly goes full throttle and escapes to open waters. Early the next morning on October 24th, the crew begins patrolling at periscope depth. Tang surfaces heading for Turnabout Island. O'Kane soon identifies a large convoy that has tankers carrying planes and transports with more planes crated. Tang fires 6 torpedoes, sinking 3 vessels, and continues to shadow the convoy to choose its next target. Not soon after, Tang fires 2 more torpedoes at another transport ship and tanker, striking their hulls. A destroyer passes around the transport and steams right at her. She quickly maneuvers to full speed to escape the gunfire. A few seconds later, the pursuing destroyer is engulfed in a massive explosion. It remains unclear if this happens from either the 3rd torpedo or from the explosions of the sinking tanker. Only the transport ship remains afloat. However, it's dead in the water, making it easy prey. At 0230, Tang fires her last 2 torpedoes. One of them broaches and curves to the left in a circular run, heading right back at the sub. Tang fishtails under emergency power to clear the torpedo, but her efforts are in vain. It only takes 20 seconds before the Tang is struck. But for the crew, those 20 seconds last a lifetime. This unique world that they built within this submarine, filled with cribbage games, storytelling, and hard-fought victories, all seem to fade away in an instant. The crew braces for impact, gripping onto whatever's nearest. As the stray torpedo collides with the aft torpedo room, the explosion is so violent that the force breaks crew members' ribs as far forward as the control room. The ship quickly goes down by the stern, with the aft 3 compartments flooding.
We felt the first one go off, and then we felt the second one, and we were all waiting for the word, let's get out of here, because we knew we were going to be heading back, because that was our last fish. And all of a sudden, bang, we got hit. And we didn't know what happened. We just felt this tremendous vibration and shaking of the boat, and heard this explosion. And I said, oh my God, what happened, And then it was so quick, it seemed, that the stern just immediately started settling down. And they didn't get the hatch closed in the conning tower right away. So all this water comes pouring in right into the control room and down through where I'm at, and flooding on back into the, after part of the boat. So I thought that, well, this is going to be it. This is the end. How long is it going to take? But all of a sudden, you just start reacting, and we knew we had to get this watertight door closed to the control room to stop all this water coming in. So myself and 1 or 2 other fellows, we managed to get that thing closed, and we did get it closed and stop the water from coming in.
The submarine bottoms out at 180 feet, forcing 30 survivors into the forward torpedo room, where they prepare to escape using the forward escape trunk. Their attempt is delayed by a Japanese patrol dropping depth charges, which triggers an electrical fire in the forward battery. At 0600, 13 men escape using the Momsen lung, the only recorded instance of its use. By the time the last man exits the sub, the battery fire becomes so intense that the paint on the bulkheads starts melting. Of the 13 who escaped, only 5 are rescued. 1 injured sailor was left behind, while 3 crew members who had been on the bridge swam for 8 hours before being rescued. Another survivor used his pants as a flotation device. The next morning, the survivors saw the bow of the transport ship they had just sunk the night before still jutting out of the water. 78 men lost their lives that day. The 9 survivors were picked up the next morning by the Japanese frigate CD-34 as prisoners of war. Among the men lost is Second Class Reuben McNeil Rayford from Georgetown, South Carolina, who at age 15 may have been the youngest American sailor in the military to lose his life in combat.
And there were people that were hurt, and the ones that were injured, like there was the one with a broken leg or broken arm, and they said, well, we're not going to try to escape because we're liable to foul things up for somebody else. And so they were content with the fact that that was it. And they were just laying there in a bunk, you know. I don't think any of the other survivors, well, maybe Decker might, but I don't think anybody else really wanted to go back and do something like it. But I always have. I always had a desire to go back and dive down and see exactly where we were hit, you know.
Tang was stricken from the Naval Vessel Register on February 8, 1945. As is tradition for U.S. submarines lost at sea, Tang was not decommissioned and officially remains on eternal patrol. The USS Tang receives 4 battle stars and 2 Presidential Unit citations for her service during World War II. Her commanding officer, Richard O'Kane, receives the Medal of Honor for his leadership during the final combat action. The original cribbage board played on the first Tang was lost when the submarine sank, but a commemorative board was presented to O'Kane by the crew of the second USS Tang, SS-306. In just over a year in service, Tang managed to sink over 33 ships, totaling over 116,000 tons. To this day, Tang remains one of the most successful submarines in U.S. Navy history. Her service during World War II was almost unmatched, and her legacy lives on today through the Arleigh Burke-class destroyer USS O'Kane, DDG-67, ensuring that the courage and the sacrifices of those who served will never be forgotten.